Okay, welcome everyone. I'm super excited. You guys have definitely earned this call to be a top enroller for December, so congratulations, that's so awesome. And I'm not going to take a whole lot of time because we have Emily Gibson, the Emily Gibson on with us tonight by popular request. So I'm actually going to turn it over to her. She's a sweet Diamond Ambassador, and I cannot wait to hear what she has to share with us all tonight. Emily, you can go ahead and take it away, girl.
Hey guys, so first I have to introduce you to the newest member of our family. This is Cosette. This is Cozy. We call her Cozy Co for short. And she's going to be sleeping on my lap during this call. I hope. We're gonna hope that she stays calm. Otherwise, I'll have to get my husband to come and get her. Okay, so I guess everybody knows who I am. It sounds like you know who I am, Emily Gibson, and I am from a little small town called Half Moon Bay, California. It is just south of San Francisco, right on the coast. And we are famous for our pumpkins and our agriculture, but we have a pumpkin festival every single October, and 200,000 people come into our little town to come. And so when I say little town, I'm from California, right? So little town to us means a population of 60,000 people. Now, other places, I know you guys are laughing because you're like, yeah, that's not little. And I say, well, my high school was, 1,000 people. And you say, that's my whole town. So I consider myself to come from a small town, but it's relative, right? So there's one high school, one middle school, and 3 elementary schools that feed into those upper level schools. So to me, that's super small. And I share that with you just to kind of share a piece of who I am and what molded my character and the person that I have become and am continually becoming, because I think it's so important to share our whole story so that I can kind of paint that picture for you. Another thing that I'll share with you is my parents divorced when I was 2.5. So I grew up living in 2 different homes and 2 different states. I went to kindergarten and school in California, and then I was really struggling to adapt. And so my therapist, I've had a lot of therapy because when your parents get divorced at 2.5, you need it. And I am a huge advocate for everyone to have therapy, even if you've had the perfect life, because therapy is amazing. So I was really struggling in kindergarten. So for first grade, my parents sent me to live in Utah, where my mom was living. So I went to live with my mom 1st through 5th grade and did elementary school here. And then my mom, who is somewhat of a gypsy, she flew for United Airlines for 36 years. And so when I lived with her in Utah and she would go on a trip, I would stay with my best friend down the street for 4 or 5 days at a time. So I was raised by a lot of people. That's the point I'm trying to make here. And when my mom, after 5th grade, she decided she wanted to move to Taiwan. And so she moved to Taiwan and I moved back to live with my dad in middle school and high school. The reason why all of this is very important because it paints a picture of the network that I had when I started Plexus. I went to multiple elementary schools. I had multiple families and people that had their hand in raising me. I kept my relationships close everywhere I went. So I went to middle school and high school in California, and then I went to half of college in California. That's where I met my husband. Then we moved to Idaho. I finished college there. Again, saving and keeping relationships with my friends and people that I considered family because they were so close to me. Everywhere I went. Then I taught elementary school inside of Idaho before my husband graduated. Then he went to his doctorate degree program here in Utah. That's what brought us back here. Again, a whole other network of people. My family, my mom's side of the family, has been living in Utah her whole entire life. She has five brothers and a sister, and they all have 4 or 5 children, and most of them live here in Utah, and they've had their roots here forever. So we had that whole network. Then I was a blogger for 10 years, and my internet relationships were very, very tight, like best friends who I went to for everything and vice versa. Then we moved 10 minutes to our home that we currently live in, and I built strong relationships for 5 years during that time. And the reason why all of this is important is when I started Plexus, I had 33 years and 3 different states of relationships that I had been building over decades and decades and decades. And I am someone who connects very, very closely to people. I'm not a surface level person. When I meet you, you are the most important person to me, and you'll feel that. One of the things that Julia Carty always says is when you're with Emily, you feel like you're the only person in the room because I'm just zoned in on you. I want to know everything about you beyond what you're showing everybody on the surface. I call it a pocket. I want to get into your pocket and feel who you are and see who you are and get to know you. So knowing that, when I started Plexus, it's very easy for you to see with all of that why I became Emerald in 6 months' time. It wasn't because I was just very popular. It wasn't because I just worked really hard, although those things were true. It was because I had spent 33 years developing very close, deep relationships that I held on to from everywhere I went. And wherever I was in my life, I poured into people around me, and I made them feel very special because they were special to me. As someone who did have her parents divorce at 2.5, I still in my adult life, I have abandonment issues that I deal with. And because of that, I try to never let anyone go that comes into my life because I don't want them to leave me, right? So knowing all of that, hopefully that will help you be at peace with maybe your journey being on a different time frame than what mine was on. And I just want people to understand that because it's so easy to look at someone else and say, oh my gosh, it was so easy for her. Well, there were 33 years of really, really hard that made that 6 months, quote unquote, easy. It was not easy, by the way. Okay. There was a lot of learning. There was a lot of sacrifice, and there was a lot of having to level up and really learn what network marketing was, because for the first 6 months, I was just running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And you might be feeling like that right now. So what I want to talk to you today about is duplication. Because when I finally figured out what duplication was, it shifted everything in my business. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the first 6 months of my business, I was working 12 to 13-hour days, barely sleeping, barely looking my kids in the eyes. And it was because I was doing everything for everyone. Because I have a red personality, I'm very controlling, I'm driven by power and control. So I wanted to do everything for everyone because I knew that I could get it done if I could just do it for everyone, right? So I was micromanaging everywhere I could turn. Now, that might not be your core motive, that innate core motive. My favorite book this year that I read is The Color Code, that has been revised to the People Code. It's by Dr. Taylor Hartman. Put it in your Amazon cart, order it today. It will change the way you see yourself and the people around you on a whole new level. It's going to mess with your colors for a minute because you're like, wait, I thought that I was a yellow-green. No, you aren't. You're actually a blue. It's 2 colors combined. So, but red is the same in any color. And basically his methodology is, and he was the first color creator. So he wrote the original color code 30 years ago, and then all of the other color code books that you've seen and heard of are a stem off of his. They're copycats of his. So he's the original. It's called the People Code. It was when he wrote it in the 80s, it was the color code. And then he put a revised edition out. So now the revised edition is the People Code. There is a sequel to it called the Character Code. What makes this book so different is that he addresses, it goes deeper than behavior. All of the color codes that you've seen, the network marketing MLM one, I can't remember the other one. There's so many different ones. They're all behavior based. They look at your behavior. Oh, she does that. That's her behavior, so that's her color. No, it's so much deeper than that, because you were born with an innate core motive. And when you were a child, it was very evident based, right? Like, oh, she's really bossy. That was me. Everybody said, she's so bossy, she's so loud, right? And so as I've grown up, I've tried to say to myself, don't talk so much. You talk too much. Suppress that. Oh, you're too controlling, you're too bossy, back off. No, those are your innate core motives, that they're gifts that were given to you when you were born. Accept them, own them. They have their strengths and they have their limitations, which is why sometimes I get myself into trouble, right? So in the book, it goes deeper than that. And the reason why I bring that up is because we like to talk about colors a lot, right? So we know who we're talking about. So I'm this red that likes to control and have power and be in control of everything. And when I'm not in control, I start to feel very anxious and powerless, and it's horrible feeling. So if that's not your core motive, raise your hand if you think that you cannot be successful in network marketing if you're not a red. I'm going to look at everybody on here. And I just be honest. Do you think you have to be a red to make it to the top in Plexus? Look at your good people. They're like, no, I can be whatever. I can be whatever I want. So on my team, and I think on a lot of teams, people believe that they have to be a certain color to go all the way. And that is such a lie that people tell themselves, right? Because whatever you have gifts, all of you each have gifts that have brought you to this point. So whatever it is, whatever drives you, if connection drives you, raise your hand if connecting with people and being focused on details and getting things done. Raise your hand if that is like what drives you. Brandy? So that would be a blue in the Taylor Hartman color code. Are you someone that just likes to keep peace? You just want to keep the peace, but you're stubborn, but you won't tell anyone that you're stubborn. What is your name, Kyle, or is that your husband's name? Kyle, your name's Kyle, yes? Maybe?
My name's Gretchen.
Gretchen, okay.
That's my honey.
Okay, I'm like, that doesn't look right. So Gretchen is probably a white. My husband is a white. He just likes to keep the peace at all times, peacekeeper, but he's very stubborn and he can get stuff done like a red, right? So, and then who is motivated by fun? You're like, I'm just here for the fun. That's all. I just want to have fun, and I don't really want to do things for more than 5 seconds or I'm bored. And I'm very loud and talkative, and everybody when I was a child told me I talk too much. That would be a yellow in the color code. So whatever your innate core motive is that you were born with it. You can't change it. So just love it, own it, accept it. You can't change that. So for me, I'm a controller, which means I want my team and my leaders to do exactly what I know works all the time, which is both a strength and a mortal flaw, right? So as leaders, we have to recognize our limitations. The limitations that I have as a leader a lot of the time are that I have a hard time giving my leaders wings to fly on their own. Because why don't you just do it my way? My way works. Do it my way. This is how I was successful. If you do it, you'll be successful too. So that breeds insecurity. That breeds lack of belief in oneself. And those are my limitations. I have a lot of success with that, but I also have limitations with that. So as a leader that's trying to duplicate, my best advice to you is to listen to the very quiet voice inside of you that tells you what you should do. So Megan is obviously an amazing leader and one of the best in our company. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Everybody knows that. And she has a way that has worked for her, and she is sharing that with you. And then you're going to have a way that works for you. Use her systems. And then if you feel like, you know what, I feel like I need to also do this. That's your leader inside of you telling you what your team needs. And it doesn't negate what Megan has taught you. It doesn't negate what Plexus is telling you to do. You're still doing all of those things that your mama taught you how to do, but it's just like your own family. When you get married, you have these systems of duplication that your parents have taught you. And then as you raise your children, or if you just have animals, because I'm an animal person now, I didn't know it, but I'm now officially a dog person. You have all these rituals that you do with your babies or your animals, or if you have no animals and no babies, maybe it's just with your spouse. Whatever it is, you have these things that you were taught as you were growing up. Systems that you are duplicating, right? And those systems, you're going to very naturally put your own spin on. That's what makes your house a home. That's what gives you independence as an adult. That's like the beautiful part of your 30s. And if you're not 30 yet, there's a beautiful part in your 20s where you're just like, I'm going to do whatever I want, right? Or maybe you're not that way, but I was that way. And then you just come back around and you're like, oh my gosh, my parents were right about everything. And I call them all the time on the phone. I'm like, you were so right. You were right about it all. And they're like, this is the greatest day of our lives. Okay. So, but you have these systems that your parents taught you and you adapt them to make them your own. So you have your mom's favorite egg casserole that you make on Christmas, but it's short 2 cups of milk and you've always felt like it was dried out. So you're going to make it with 2 extra cups of milk and your family's going to grow up with a moist egg casserole because you take her system and you add something to it to make it your own. That is what makes you a strong leader. Take the foundation and then make it work for you and your team. And then allow them to do that as well. There is going to be no stronger duplication that you can ever create on your team than building it on your own based off of what you've been given. So I'm not like, I hope you're hearing me when I say, listen to Megan. She knows all, but give yourself permission to listen to what your heart is telling you your team needs, because you're going to receive inspiration about what you need to do to reach your people, to connect with your people. All right. So now that being said, having that base, what I want to talk about is what that looks like, because for every person that's a little bit different. And as you grow and gain experience in network marketing, it's going to look different. Sort of like your first baby gets a really, really good mom. And by the 4th, you're just, man, you don't even know how they get fed. But they turn out to be really great and they get a totally different mom than your first baby did. I just hope they all read really well. I hope they all read as well as my first child. Okay. So you're going to have really great things about you in the beginning. There were really great things about me in the beginning because every single person that posted anything on social media about Plexus on my team, I was liking and commenting on their post, and I was doing it for 3 hours a day. Okay, through Emerald. And then I got to Emerald and I was like, I'm not liking and commenting on your posts anymore. There's too many of you and I'm not sleeping. So you're just going to have crickets on your post. It's fine. Keep going. You're going to be okay. Right? So now I'm like, oh, good. Someone on my team posted a level 1 posted 2 weeks ago and she's silver. I didn't even help her. Okay. So it's like people figure it out too. And you can't always hold their hand, but if you have the time, hold their hand. So you're going to duplicate things in the beginning that you cannot keep up as your team grows, and that's okay. So in the beginning, I want you to duplicate and love on your team in the best way that you know how. And then as your team grows, communicate to them when those things need to change and why they need to change. So for example, I just had my hand in every single person until I was emerald, and now as a diamond, I can only work with my top producers, right? So Megan has all of her top enrollers on this call. She's pouring into you. I'm pouring into you because you've earned that time with her. So find the people on your team that really deserve your time and pour into them. What does duplication look like? Well, when I enroll a new person and they're a level 1 of mine and they live by me, I get within a week of them starting their business, when they say, I'm going to do this with you, within a week of that, I am sitting right next to them. And I'm saying, let's write some messages together. We're going to reach out to 3 of your closest friends together. Now, if you don't live by your team and you can't do that, you're going to be on the phone with them. I would recommend Zoom once a week with them, face to face with your new people. There has to be some belly to belly. That's what we call it, that belly to belly time. There has to be that. It's your tummy time. You got to bond. Okay? You have to bond skin to skin. You have to. You have to. You cannot expect to enroll someone and have them get to gold, senior gold, ruby, senior ruby, emerald by themselves. Yes, it's happened. It's not gonna happen. You've heard of it happening, great. Just tell yourself that's not me. And that I'm not gonna find that person. Because if you do find that person, fantastic. But we're not waiting around for Sally to show up, if you know what I'm saying. And the mistake that I made early on in my second year of business was I found a girl like that, and she enrolled 100 level 1s. And I was like, oh, she's got this. I don't need to help her. I don't need to teach anything to her. She is doing awesome. And a year later, gone. And so were her 100 people and everyone in her organization. Why? Because I was not a good leader. I didn't have my hand in it. I didn't show her. I didn't teach her. That's on me. I don't look at that person and say, oh my gosh, she was such a failure. I look at that and I'm like, that was poor leadership. I didn't duplicate anything onto her team. I didn't get with her new people. I didn't meet the people she was excited about. I didn't dig into her business, get belly to belly with her people. I mean, I helped 1 or 2 people go silver, but then I was like, you need to go, you go do some sip and sees, you go do the events. Let me know if I should come, right? Because I was like, I mean, I'm like a diamond ambassador. I don't need to be doing that anymore. Wrong. I had like a 6-month period where I was like, that's for you guys now. No. It's always for us. Our job is to influence people, because if you don't influence the people, it will not happen. I can sit and look back at my business, and when I was not personally developing silvers, my team was not personally developing silvers. When I was not digging in and getting my level 2s and my level 3s to silver, it wasn't happening. It just wasn't happening. You can sit and enroll 3 people and get a level 1 silver and do that over and over and over again and hope that that brings you 1,000 points growth. It's most likely not going to. What's going to? You reaching down into your level 2 and saying, hey, could we do a sip and see at your house? And modeling that and linking arms with everyone, going to their house, getting to know them, having coaching calls with them, getting on the phone with them, that belly to belly, right? So when you're duplicating, it's so important that you recognize that nobody is going to do the work except for you. And if you were a small business owner of a brick and mortar business, the first 3 years of your business, you'd be going into that storefront every single day, and you'd be showing the cashier how to use the cash register. You'd be showing the cooks where you want the pans to be hung at night. You'd be saying, okay, I'm hiring this cleaning company and I'm going to show them how to clean this office, clean this business, whatever it is that you're running. You would be in there making sure that everything was running properly until you had trusted managers that could do it exactly the way it needed to be done. That's what your team is. Your trusted managers are your leaders, and they cannot do it without you until you've spent a good amount of time training them how to do that. That doesn't mean they have to do it exactly like you. It just means you need to be there showing them, teaching them. And if you're not doing that with them, how can they duplicate that? And just like, I mean, if your parents are still alive, raise your hand. Everybody's parents are still alive? Maybe one, two, maybe a couple of people have had their parents die. I'm sorry. One of the things that I had to tell my parents a few years ago was, I know I don't live with you anymore and I'm a grown woman, but I still need you to be my parent. I still need you to tell me when you think I'm being an idiot and when I need parenting. Parenting never ends. It's not like we turn 18 and our parents, even if they do say, I'm done, move on, you still need your parents your whole entire life. And if you don't have great parents, you probably have other people in your life who've been your mentor, right? Just like if you don't have an upline that is helping you, you probably have like a sideline sister or like a grandma in plexus that's 2 levels above you, 7 levels above you, whatever, that's mentoring you. So even if you don't have that like direct upline sponsor, you still probably have people who influence you to help you do well, right? So even when you have someone to emerald or someone to gold or ruby or whatever in your mind you think they should be able to fly on their own, they still need you. They just need you in a different way. So the way you duplicate onto a silver is going to be different than you duplicate onto a gold. Before I move on to this next section, do you have any questions about what I've said so far, or do you want me to go into more depth about anything that I've said so far?
I think that's really helpful that you said that, because I feel like even at all of the ranks, for me, I felt like I have needed that like plexus mom, even just to have the brain space. Not that they're like, I don't know. I felt like I have really valued having input from other leaders and during the process of, the whole thing, because no one's arrived. Even at a diamond, I feel like there's still so many things that pop up that I have questions with, and it's helpful to be able to hash that out.
Exactly. And so, when you have like Christy Jex was my very first emerald. And when she started out, we were on the phone every day, 3-way messages when we used to do those, helping her duplicate to get to the point where she was at. But now at Sapphire, my duplication with Christy is totally different. I'll say, hey, Christy, I'm doing coaching calls a little bit different. Let me show you what I'm doing now, because it's working really well. I'm using Sign Up Genius. I'm doing 20-minute calls. I'm getting one Zoom call and I'm saying, sign up for a call and get on the Zoom at your time. I'm not calling you. You better be on there when it's your time. And when it's your time to get on, the other person's going to leave, right? So it's like teaching what's working for you at different levels of your leadership and different leaders at their different level of leadership. So they need different things from you at different times in their business, just like you need different things from your sponsor at different times in your business. Angie, I will call your 28-year-old son and tell him, yes, he still needs you to parent him. It'll come around. He probably needs another 10 years, because it really, I mean, my 20s, I knew everything. And I was irritated by the 30-year-olds that thought they knew everything. So now I'm like, I don't know anything, and I just need my parents to tell me what to do, because I know they're right about everything. Okay, so that's coming for you in your future. I have faith and I have hope that that's going to happen for you too. Okay, so duplication that you need to do on your team every single day. I feel like your daily method of operations is your biggest thing that you need to duplicate to your team that most leaders do not duplicate to their team. We think that you can have these powers to see what we do, and we just think, why aren't they doing it? Well, because you haven't told them. You haven't taught them how to do it. You don't tell them that you wake up and you have a systematic way that you go through your messages, or you do your posts, or you get your list out, or whatever it is you do. And you're maybe listening to this, man, I don't know what my systems are. I'm not really sure what my systems. Yes, you do. Because if you're a top enroller on this call, you have systems. And you have to teach people what those systems are. And it's hard sometimes to be a top enroller and know what you've done. Because a lot of times you get somewhere and you're like, I don't know what I did, but I did it. Not really sure how, but I know I did it. So you're going to have opportunities in your business where you're like, I'm doing this. This is good. Write it down. This is what I did to achieve that. When I brought Beverly Aston onto my team, she is one of my newest leaders, and she went in 90 days, became senior Ruby. 90 days. I've never even heard of that happening before. And the reason why is because, like me, she's lived in many different places. She was already a level 5 top leader. So she stepped into that position, right? She didn't have to learn how to be a leader. She came into it with that skill set. The reason why I bring her up is because when we were doing that, I was like, oh my gosh. I was writing down notes as we were going of things that were working. So for example, the first month was sip and seas at her house every week. She would call her team. She would gather her team to her house and say, bring a friend. So we were doing weekly sip and seas at her house. Second month, we were going to people's houses. I made her do a Facebook post. She posted twice on social media. 2 times. Still, 2 times. She's done everything belly to belly. Everything belly to belly. Hear that. Events, in person. If you live out in the middle of nowhere and you're like, I can't do that, then Zoom, virtual events need to be your best friend. You've got to get face-to-face with people or get on the phone. Now, you can go faster when you use that element of social media as well, because it's sort of like a follow-up, right? But the number one thing is face-to-face person live events. All right. So, we wrote everything down. And there's videos. You can go to my YouTube channel and we talk about how she had 104 people join her team in 60 days. And then we did another video about what we did in the 90 days. So all that's there for you. We broke it down. So I won't do that here. But the thing I want to point out is that you have to be duplicating what you are doing. And so take notes when you are working with someone. If you have a new person that you're getting to silver, I want you to be taking notes about what you're doing to help them get to silver, so that then you can say, make a video for your team or make a post on your team page that says, this is how I get someone to silver. These are the actions that I took to help my newest person get to silver. It sounds so simple, but your team doesn't know how to do it because they've never been told how to do it. And so many people just need to be told what to do. So things that seem really elementary to you, when you look at your team and you say, what are they struggling with? Well, my team is struggling with getting people to silver. Well, what do you do to get to silver? I don't know. I get people to silver. No. In order to be duplicatable, you have to write down exactly what you do to get people to silver. Well, first of all, when I'm enrolling them, I start talking to them about their mom, their sister, and their best friend. Do they have anyone that they think would want to start this with them? Tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you hear about this? Do you think they would want to do anything like this? Then they're saying, well, yeah, my sister might want to. Okay, what's your sister's name? Oh, her name is Sarah. I'm writing Sarah's name down. Right? So I'm asking them, people in their life that might need better sleep, more energy, and craving control. And then I'm writing those names down that they're giving me. It might be 1 name, it might be 2 names, but I'm writing them down so that I can follow up about their people. So that's step 1 of getting people to silver, is giving them, you're dripping down the business without them even knowing. You're asking them who in their life while you're enrolling them on the phone, because we all do that, right? Say yes. Please don't send your website, please. please. Okay, so you're enrolling them on the phone and you're already asking them about their mom, their sister, their best friend, or whatever. Then step 2 is you're writing down the names of the contacts that they're asking, they're telling you, and then you're asking them about them. Oh, really? Why do you think she would need it? Well, she's always tired. Oh, tell me about that. Why is she always tired? You're taking notes. Then their products come. Oh my gosh, did you, I'm so excited. Here's how you take your products. Hey, did you have a chance to talk to, you're following up, did you have a chance to talk to your mom about being tired? What do you think about running over a stick of pink drink so she can try it with you? Right? You're giving them ideas for how to pass it along. Then have they made a Facebook post yet? Would they do that? Ask them to do that. So you're writing all these notes down. These are all the things about how to get someone to silver. Then, oh my gosh, after a week of taking the products, they love their products and they say to you, oh my gosh, I feel so amazing. Is this like too early? Is this actually possible to feel this good right away? And you say, yes! Oh my gosh, I love Plexus, right? So next step about getting someone to silver is you're saying, okay, so what do you think about inviting 5 or 6 of your friends over to your home and me coming? And again, if you don't live close enough, you're going to change the verbiage on this to like getting them on the phone with me or hopping on a Zoom or doing something virtual, right? And you're writing all these steps down as you're doing this, because this is how you duplicate. You model what you're actually doing that has brought you success, and you're duplicating it. You're serving it on a serving spoon to your team, step by step by step, because they don't know. If they knew, they'd be doing it, right? That's the key. If you're having problems with duplication, it's because your people don't know what to do. And you need to turn the finger toward yourself as a leader and say, what am I doing? I don't know. Well, next time you do it, you better write it down so that you can then teach your team how to do it. Because if they knew how to do it, they'd be doing it. They want to, they're showing up, they're on your Zooms, they're coming to your challenges, they're asking you, what should I do, what should I do? And you're like, well, just do it. They don't know how. Okay, so you're asking them, you know, could I come over? You invite 5 to 6 of your friends, they taste the pink drink, I share my story, they have questions, I give them answers. When they want to sign up, we put them onto your website. Would you want to do something like that? Yeah, sure, best case scenario. Sure, I'll do that. Okay, how about next Thursday? Again, you're writing all this down for your team so that they can duplicate it. When you finally get this figured out, you are going to have massive momentum. It will happen. It cannot happen by them watching you post on Facebook and telling them to work harder. You have to give them little spoon-fed tasks to do it. And you just tell them the little tasks that you do. If you're not working your business, you're not personally sponsoring, then you're not helping them. You're not doing anyone a service. I mean, I've been in this for 3 years and I still personally sponsor 3 people every month. And I always try to get one person to silver. In December, I got one person, I enrolled one person, but I still got someone to silver. But I put so much of my time into charity work that I didn't get the other 2 level 1s that I always try to get. That's a luxury that I have as a Diamond Ambassador. I can take that time and not enroll 3 people every month, and it's okay. But if I did that every single month, guess what would happen? I would not have growth in my levels 1 through 4 like I do, which is very important to me. Okay? So what you do, your team will do as long as you tell them and show them how to do it. All right. Any questions after that? What system of duplication do you feel like is the hardest for your team to figure out? Is it, because we got to back it up, right? For some people, it's silvers. Some, it's like they can't even enroll anyone. We can't even focus on silvers because they're not even duplicating enrollments. So what would you say? Is it enrollments that your team struggles with, or silvers? Like they're enrolling 3, but they're not getting anyone to silver, or no, they're really struggling to enroll people. What would you say is the system you need help with the most?
Totally silvers for my team.
Silvers? Silvers for your team? Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else struggle with silvers?
I feel like a lot of people on here are good recruiters. I mean, actually, everyone on here is a good recruiter.
Yeah,
They're not on this call, but and their teams are good recruiters.
Good recruiters. It's the getting to silver part.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
Amy says no one on her team wants to sell.
Okay. So I did a video yesterday about the top 10 excuses I used to have about the business, and that was one of my top 10 excuses. That's also one of the top 10 excuses I hear from my team, right? So I still had that happen to me. So I'm calling it an excuse, but it really was a reality for me for a while because I couldn't get anyone to do it. I live in Utah. It's the #1 MLM capital of America. Everyone's been burned by 5 of them, and they still have $2,000 of product in their garage that they just can't part with, even though they're never going to sell it. Right? Like I have so many friends who turn their front room into this like shopping center, and you walk in, you're like, what are you going to do with all this mascara? Like you're going to go bad before you sell it. And they're like, I know, do you need some? Like, no, I don't. I'm good. I use fake lashes. I haven't touched mascara in a year. Right? So it's like, there are so many people that have been burned. So to say that I had people on my team that didn't want to sell is an understatement. It's one of the hardest places to do an MLM business is Utah, right? Because they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Okay. So this was an obstacle in my way, and I totally empathize with that, Amy. How did I get beyond that? Well, I stopped looking for people to sell, and I started looking for people that wanted to help their friends feel a little bit better. And I remember watching a video by Sheila Medina, The Power of 3. And then I remembered watching a team call. I don't know who said it, but it might have been on that video. I'm not sure. The gateway to diamond is silver. Your team is not going to be made up of 15 emeralds, most likely. Your team is going to be made up of silvers, golds, and senior golds. And the way that you make up golds are lots of silvers. And the way you make up senior golds are usually 1 gold and a bunch of silvers. So we don't need a bunch of people selling Plexus on our team. We need a bunch of people that really just want to help 3 or 4 people in their life, that they just want to love on 3 or 4 people. So one of the things that I've told people on my team that say, I don't have anybody that wants to sell. I say, great. Who do you know that wants to help just a few people though? Why don't we look for those people? And there's just something magical about shifting our verbiage, because there's so much power to our words. And if we're saying in our head and saying out loud, no one on my team wants to sell, then we're creating this negative reality about our team and about what we have. So instead change that around and say, okay, no one on my team wants to sell. That's fine. I don't really want to sell either. But what I always have wanted to do was help a few people feel better. So I wonder if there's anyone on my team that wants to help a few people feel better. And so shift that way that you approach it, and I promise you're going to find some workers. And they're not going to be the people that you expect. When I look at my team, with the exception of 2 people, they are not the people that I expected would work. And it all started with them just wanting to help a few people. And then I was able to influence them to help a few more people. And they were able to influence a few people to help a few people. So stop looking for people that want to sell and start looking for people that want to help a few people. And then help them to see they could help a few more people. Yes, that mindset shift is huge. So what I want you to do tonight is I want you to write down somewhere that difference so that you can see it. So that, because you have to reprogram your brain, right? Because we're looking, okay, who's my next worker? Who's going to sell this with me? Nobody's going to sell this with you. Nobody wants to sell. Even the best salespeople typically don't want to sell a product for an MLM, but they do want to help their dad, and they do want to help their best friend. So they're selling, but they don't know it, right? And that's the only way that I built my business in Utah, is I never looked for sellers. I looked for helpers. And that's the difference. And duplicate that, and you'll duplicate a powerhouse team. And it might be a powerhouse gold team or a powerhouse senior gold team. It might be a powerhouse ruby team. It's going to be a solid team, and I promise you that. Because you're going to attract people that care about others, and that attracts leaders. That's what you want. You want to do this with high quality leaders. What else? What other questions do you have? There's no better way to get someone to silver than doing a sip and see. Even if only one person comes and they don't sign up, and that happens to you 3 months in a row. I've been there. I know. I've wasted 4 hours of my night for an awkward one-person sip and see, and they didn't even sign up. And that happened to me at Emerald, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I'm never doing these again. So for 6 months, I did not do sip and sees. And guess what? I sat at Emerald. And then I was like, maybe I should do a sip and see. And 6 people came and 6 people signed up. Lo and behold. And then my belief in sip and sees increased. It's those live events, the belly to belly. Yes, I'm always concerned about duplicating the wrong way and the wrong things, which is why I try as a leader to test it out before I teach my team. Perfect example of this, the Super Saturday content that you received about me plus 3. If you've ever seen my heart duplication system, have you guys seen that? Emily's heart duplication. I put it on the Jules page. I don't know, Megan, maybe you didn't see it. It basically, that is what I started using that last January, because I was finding that on Instagram, that's where I recruited over 60 level 1s last year from strangers on Instagram. Okay. Now these are strangers that I had been developing relationships for 2 years. And then finally after 2 years, they trusted me enough and I had this ginormous influx. Okay. So it didn't just happen overnight. I didn't just get on Instagram and enroll a bunch of strangers. No, it took years. And I've been on Instagram for like 7 years, you guys. So it's not, I mean, I've been working on this for a long time. So, there were no voice messages last year on Instagram. And I kept trying to move my Instagram people over to Facebook message so I could leave my 4 to 5 memorized voice messages about what is plexus. And not only was it not duplicating to my team, but I couldn't duplicate it on Instagram. So I had to find a better way. So I found I started sending the little triplex Wistia link. 1.5-minute video. I started sending that. When they would say, what's plexus? I would be like, you know what? I'm not wasting my time on this because they're probably not going to roll anyway. So I just sent them the minute video. And then they were like, oh my gosh, okay, I want that. And I had to keep it as short as possible. And I'd say, I don't know. I mean, what interests you the most about it? And they would say, well, I mean, I want to lose weight. And I'd be like, oh, well, let me grab a story of someone that lost weight on my team. And this simple send, share, invite system was created. Now, I didn't create this. I'm sure someone else in network marketing created this before me, but I put it on paper. After 6 months of having crazy success with this, I finally taught my team how to do it because I saw that it was working. I was so scared to change my system, you guys. Terrified. In fact, I had a coaching call with Bob Heilig for an hour telling him, well, I can't change my system. My system is what took me to Diamond. And he's like, is your system working anymore? Well, not really. I mean, they can't really duplicate it. They all think it's too hard to memorize the 5 minutes of stuff. He's like, change your system. Get off the phone and write your system down that you've been using for 6 months. And I did it and taught my team, and their instant response was, oh my gosh, this is so much easier. I hated that old system. We just learned it because we love you and we thought we had to memorize it. Okay, so I totally understand sometimes it's scary to change your system, and I was so terrified that this would cripple my team. What it did was it gave my team even better momentum and better success than it had ever had before. And more time freedom. It gave me time freedom. And it's scary to trust yourself as a leader. That's what leadership is. It's lonely at the top. If you feel alone, you're being a good leader. Because as a leader, you have to make hard decisions. And sometimes you have to try something that you're not sure is going to work. And sometimes it fails and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, I guess we're not going to do that again. And then you try it a different way. And it's okay. I've just failed more than you. Megan's just failed more than you. That's why we are where we are. So you need like 100 more failures. And every time you fail, I want you to be like, oh, good, I'm one step closer to Diamond. Fantastic. If you don't live close enough to do a sip and see, I've done online sip and sees where we just create a group for those 5 or 6 friends, and we have them all come at that time, and we'll do like posts or lives inside of a live group. Also getting one thing that we've done are these virtual mini events where we do a 30-minute call for 5 or 6 of your friends. So we just do it by Zoom. They don't even have to come to your house. We just do it on Zoom from their home. 30 minutes, they are just as effective. But I always, you could have the person mail out sticks of Slim. You could I've done it without any sampling of the product as well. It just kind of depends on how much gusto your host has. Your level 1 that wants to go silver, do they want to drive it around to 5 people's houses? If they do, you're probably going to have a silver because they're a real go-getter. But sometimes they don't want to do that, and that doesn't mean that they're not going to be silver. It just means they might not want to make that extra effort. Or they can't. Maybe they can't because you're doing it on Thursday and they've got to mail it out to 3 different states or whatever. So it takes a little bit more prep work, and it's a little bit less conventional. But that's what our business is, right? It's unconventional. So just remember that the way that you become a better leader is you think outside the box and you don't take no for an answer. And if that's not your natural, innate core motive to think that way, then it's going to be uncomfortable for you, but it's not impossible. And I've said this a million times. I try to say this on every live I do for this company, and anything that I present on is, it's not that you can't do it. It's that it's outside of your comfort zone to do it. And if you're hearing yourself say, well, that's not my personality to do that. If you hear yourself say that, you need to check yourself. And you need to say, no, it's just outside of my comfort zone. And you're going to be uncomfortable progressing and moving up to the next level. If you are comfortable, that's a problem. It's okay to be comfortable for a month or 2. Celebrate whatever you've earned. Like maybe just a month, maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month is even too much. But you've got to be progressing. And if you're not, then you're comfortable and that you're going to start digressing. Anything that I didn't cover, Megan, that you want me to teach or go deeper on, or any questions?
I thought that was phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
I have taken a lot of notes, and I agree with the uncomfortable thing, because I feel like there's so many things that this business has taught me that did not come natural to me. But I was willing, and looking back on my journey, I was willing to try things at least one time. And then I was willing to get uncomfortable. And I do hear people say, oh, that's not me. But I thank you for calling that out, because I really feel like if we want growth, really in any area of our life, we're going to have to get uncomfortable. And then the send, share, invite thing, I really think that's going to be huge for our teams, because it takes, it simplifies it just to be able to use a third-party tool.
Yes. I mean, it's just stop talking. Nobody wants to listen for 5 minutes of voice messages. Nobody's got time for that. I don't even want to do it. It was so freeing to let that go. But it's what I'd always done. It's what had worked for me for so long. And then it stopped working. And so I had to create something else that was better. And that was hard, because I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this wrong. Oh my gosh, I'm not putting enough time into this. I should be working harder for this. Holy crap, they just enrolled in 3 messages. Wow, that worked. Must have been a fluke. 15 people later, it's still working. Maybe I should tell my team, no, I don't want to veer the ship. This could be bad. 6 months later, okay, it's probably working. I probably should have told my team about this 4 months ago, right? And try it for 2 weeks, a month at the most. If it's working great for you, tell your team about it. Duplicate it.
I think that's one thing too that I've lacked is sharing with my team. I'm just assuming that they're seeing what I'm doing and they'll do it. And it's really eye-opening to me to realize that I need to make my work visible so that they know. Because a lot of people see the people on the stage, or they see people getting recognized for certain things, but there's a whole backstory of what those people are doing. Like, I so appreciate what you shared about your senior Ruby that went so quickly, because people want to know, like, what did she do? But she got in front of people, she got belly to belly. And I think that's so important. And if you can do some live events. I don't know why I did not do online events with my new people. And now I'm doing them. I feel like I'm so much more proactive. I literally started in November. Hey, what are your thoughts about sharing? And then, hey, if they make a post and I say, this is just my system that I have made for myself when I'm signing up a new person. If they make their post, and I'll say, hey, how about if you invite a couple friends and some family members, and we'll all do a little online event for you. Super simple. You can pre-schedule all the posts, go live at the beginning. If they want to go live at the end, perfect. But that's been highly effective in getting people to silver. And they have a little standalone group that they can continue to add to and add and tag people. So that's been super helpful.
Yeah. It works, you guys. And it takes a lot of time and effort on your part as the leader. And there's a lot of disappointment along the way, and a lot of what you might feel is wasted time, but it's not wasted time. Because every failure has a lesson in it, right? Experience is what you get when you didn't get what you wanted. So when you did that event that nobody showed up to, I guarantee you learned more about yourself than had 6 people shown up and signed up. And it's the reflection of what could I have done to make that better that will make your next event successful. And if that fails, you're going to learn more again.
What was that quote? Experience is what you get
when you didn't get what you wanted. It's Randy Posh. He is the author of The Last Lecture. He died from pancreatic cancer several years ago. I think almost 10 years ago. And his book changed the way that I looked at life. You can get it on Amazon, The Last Lecture. Be a Tigger, not an Eeyore. He talks about that in his book. That's one chapter. Obviously, a yellow personality in the Taylor Hartman color code. Motivated by fun. Right?
Yes. Your puppy is adorable. Oh my goodness.
Yes. You can see her all day, every day on my Instagram account, Emmeline the Great.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
My 5th child.
All right, girls, guys, anything real quick you want to ask? They're quiet. Means you gave them a lot to think about.
Good.
You gave us a lot to think about. I took a lot of notes.
Good. I'm glad.
Alrighty. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you, Emily, for popping on with us. Thank you, guys. Congratulations for being top enrollers in December. Hi ho, here we go for a great 2019. All right. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Bye.